Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, my name's Rich McDonald, and I played David Mason in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and you're listening to Everything Geek podcast.
Hey everybody. You're listening to Everything Geek podcast. Thanks for listening.
Hey, it's Leif Gamfert. I played Uncle Ben's killer in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldavar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek podcast.
You're listening to the Everything Geek podcast, bringing you interviews from your favorite films and TV shows every week, and all of the latest news. Here's your host, Rory Williamson.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host Rory, and joining me today is a very special guest. We have actor Aleks Paunovic, who currently plays Julius in Van Helsing, and is also best known for playing Winter in War for the Planet of the Apes, Julien Dupont in iZombie, Gustus in the 100 Marine, Sergeant Omar Fischer in Battlestar Galactica, Wygar Oak in Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, Tom in Personal Effects, Rollins in Continuum, Lawless, Skinwalker 2 and Sean's friend in Supernatural, Berkley in Once Upon a Time, Shaq'rel in Stargate SG-1, Rakai in Stargate Atlantis, and Fug 1 and Orderly in Smallville. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. Wow, you just rattled all that off. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm more amazed at the fact that I didn't stumble even once, which can happen.
I know. That was great. That was great. I'm going to actually record that and then just give it to every other podcast that I'm going to
do. I can't complain. That's great publicity for me. Yeah. Like, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I'm impressed. I mean, there's a couple of long names in there. I mean, War for the Planet of the Apes. I'm sure you've heard the, jokes about how long the titles of those films were.
That's right. Even Dirk Gently.
Yeah, that's such a long name as well. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. I'm pretty sure a lot of people online have just, started calling it Dirk Gently and just left out the other parts.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it.
So, Aleks, for any of our listeners that aren't familiar with your background, can you tell us how you got into acting?
I got into acting. I was playing in a metal band in my hometown of Winnipeg, and we were touring all over the country, and I was also boxing at the time, and we were playing in our hometown, and a casting director asked me if I wanted to audition for a film, and I'm a big fan of just trying anything that comes my way, and I've never regretted that at all, and I did it and ended up getting the job, and that was my first taste of the gig. I did a film called Heads with Roddy McDowall and Ed Asner, Jennifer Tilly, and it was all new to me, but there was something about it that I really found interesting. And then as I kept on touring with my band, I started, to take some acting classes. Then I ran into one of the stunt coordinators in my hometown of Winnipeg, who was basically the only stunt coordinator there. And he didn't have a big guy on his roster. Asked if I wanted to get involved. So I would be playing at night till like 2 a.m. in my band, and then going over to a set and just kind of helping moving mats and just kind of being in the environment and learning until eventually I got some stunt gigs and I got some stunt actor gigs, and I was really starting to fall in love with the craft and study a lot more until I made the decision to move out west to Vancouver on my way to Los Angeles and just give it a shot, and haven't looked back since. It's been a hard road and trying road, but I stuck with it with the help of some amazing acting teachers in my life and some amazing friends in my life that kept the fire going with me, and I'm now enjoying a beautiful career.
Yeah, that's really great, and I wanted to touch on something you mentioned just a bit ago. when you said, you're really open to like taking on any opportunity, I think that's really the important thing because, I mean, you were doing the band, of course, but then, your first involvement in, the acting industry was actually moving mats around because of a stunt coordinator, and if you didn't take on that as well as doing the band, you might not have gotten into the industry at all.
Yeah, that very, very good point. That's exactly it. I just wanted to be around it because I just found it really fascinating. And again, me wanting to be around it is a testament to the stunt coordinator. His name's Rick Skeen, and he's also an acting teacher in the University of Winnipeg, and of his gentle nurturing and made it fun. He didn't belittle me or put me in a position where I felt less than. He championed me, and if I don't think if I didn't have that from someone like him, I might not have pursued it, because when you play in a band, it's very much you're with your boys and you're playing songs on a stage. You really don't have anybody belittling you in a way the industry can. And I'm extremely fortunate to have somebody like that kind of nurtured me and helped me through it, and also guiding me and not going, there's people that are going to be treating you in a certain way, and, keep your integrity, but also put your ego aside, knowing that, it's all about the bigger project. You may not get along with somebody, and you may not agree with how they do their work. But if you can keep your integrity intact, and if you have to walk off because it's too much of breaking your character, then you do it. But you also got to know that there's so many other people attached to that project that moving forward and putting your ego aside is a big thing. So I just got great mentorship from a great man.
Definitely. Can you tell us how you were originally cast as Winter in War for the Planet of the Apes?
Well, I went into an audition session, and I actually went back 5 times, and there was we really didn't get a lot of information with the script. We just got scenarios and scenes, and the 4th and 5th auditions were more movement based, also with Terry Norty, and my 5th audition was with Matt Reeves and really working the character of Winter and just really trying to figure it out. So he was an amazing director in the room, very generous, and after those, I guess, 5 auditions, which took about maybe a couple months, I finally got the word that I got the job, and was over the moon and very excited about it.
That's really great. And had you seen the previous films in the series before you were cast in it? Because of course War was the final in the trilogy, so had you seen the other ones before?
Absolutely. I loved what Matt did with the series, and it's such an interesting thing, because when it comes full circle, when I was a kid and I watched the original Planet of the Apes with my brother and my dad, and when that Statue of Liberty comes in at the end, I was just like, what? And if something like that can blow my mind, I've always had in the back of my head that telling stories and getting a reaction out of people like that is such a rewarding thing to do. And obviously when the franchise came back with Matt Reeves at the helm, I was a huge fan, and Andy Serkis, a massive fan. So then being part of the franchise, to me, was just a gift. Like going along this journey, it was just a gift.
That's really great. Now, I know that you did motion capture acting on a number of productions before Apes, but what was the experience like bringing Winter to life? Like, how did doing motion capture on it compared to, doing motion capture on other productions?
Well, it's interesting, because the other productions I've done motion capture on, some video games, and actually a lot of video games, and it was an interesting process, but I got to have it in my bones to know what it was like. But to have it on War for the Planet of the Apes was very particular, because it wasn't just capturing the motion. This was performance capture. This was something where you needed to be on your game, know your dialogue. No one, CGI or VFX isn't going to fix anything. It's what you're giving in the piece is exactly what's going to show up on screen. And Matt Reeves was very particular about it and making sure that the performances were on point. There was no shortcuts, and he was an amazing director with that, and Andy was an amazing leader. And Michael Adams Wade, Karen Carnivar, Ty Olson, myself, Sarah Canning, everyone that were a part of the Ape family, we took that job extremely seriously. And it wasn't, I think the biggest thing that I come away from it, you almost forget that you have the suits on because you're literally performing. It's a performance capture. So it wasn't about being in the right spot at the right time. It wasn't about, it could be fixed in post, as long as we had the movement. This was literally performance, and it's no different than an actual feature if we were shooting it with the same emotional depth.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How did you react when you found out about Winter's betrayal in the film?
Oh, just reading the script and talking to Matt in the audition, I kind of knew early on, but I loved it. I was so thrilled that I got that role because, I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'5", and I've been fortunate enough to play a lot of antagonists in my career because I think it's the most fun that you can get really in when you're playing make believe and you're playing in the world of the arts. And I just find having a great antagonist is such a driving force for the film to go after. And so for me, getting the chance to play Winter and having that emotional betrayal, that especially when it wasn't his intention wasn't mean, it was out of fear and out of survival, and the hurt that he had through knowing what he has done, and the embarrassment of that he went to the other side. I love playing all those colors and emotion and driving the character in the film forward because, if Winter didn't do what he did, there would be no movie. So I love the fact that I got a chance to play a role like Winter. It was definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah, and that's what makes Winter such a good character in the film. He's not just, a one-dimensional character. You do have all of those emotions behind his betrayal. Like, he doesn't just do it because, he wants to join the bad guys. Like, he has, legitimate good reasons for turning on them.
That's right. And there was a lot of conversations because I really wanted to show the vulnerability of Winter, and Matt really let me kind of fly with that idea, and hard to make eye contact with Caesar type thing. We tried a few where in the scene in the tent where he approaches me of looking at him, and then we wanted to play with the idea that it was just really hard for him to make eye contact and just kind of shying away, which again shows the vulnerability. So again, testament to Matt Reeves for letting his actors play a little bit and getting the best out of them.
Definitely. In terms of Van Helsing, what were you told about the character of Julius when you were cast in the show originally?
Well, it's interesting. The original cast of the show, like when I got the job, and I was speaking with Neil LaBute and Simon Barry, and they were like, there's a bad streak in him, and there's really nothing but forward, all about power, taking over power and thirst, and having the best of basically his feasts, as opposed to, like a Skid Row type dude. He wants the top of the crop. And just the discussions of like, why is he this person? Where was his history? Where did he come from? And I built this backstory that I can really hold on to. So no matter what scene was thrown at me in whatever episode that I read, I always had a grounding foundation of what my backstory was with it. And then just sharing a little bit of it with Neil and Simon, and them taking some of my ideas and obviously and having an idea of how this could flourish into the character that Julius is something that, like, no joke, it's one of the best things I've ever done, because I love the idea of showing one side of Julius, and then you see this compassionate, redemption-seeking character that is all about making things better, but also there's a little bit of revenge in his grasp. So that to me has just been really great to kind of have flourish and have grow within the show. So I've been really lucky with that.
And that's one of the most important things for performers, I think. It doesn't matter if you're playing, a main role like Julius is, or a one-episode character, for example. I feel like, based on interviews I've done with a lot of performers in the industry, like, it's important, no matter how crucial your role is, to, like, have a backstory for the character or create your own. I mean, would you agree that it's very important to create your own backstory?
Definitely. I think it's a necessity, because you need a grounding force, and regardless if that backstory makes it into the series or not, it doesn't matter. It's how you're playing the scene authentically, and if your backstory is authentic and resonates with you and is something that hits the cores of you, and you can use every bit of your toolbox emotionally and physically, the backstory is the way to go.
Definitely. Which would you say has been your favourite scene to shoot on Van Helsing from the episodes that have aired so far?
Honestly, I loved the 1936 flashback. So for me, the boxing and the scene in the hospital and the scene outside after the boxing after the boxing scene, that whole piece, the beginning of episode 3, the teaser, to me is pretty great. I've never really played a period piece like that, so it was great to be a part of that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What can fans of Van Helsing look forward to in the upcoming episodes of the show?
That's the thing. I love the idea, because you read the scripts and then you're being a part of the scene, and it's not shot chronologically. It's shot all over the place. So you're really not following the story, and you're really not there every day to see the other people's scenes because you're not in them. So to actually watch it, I get excited. I have forgotten a lot of the stuff in the script, and so when I'm watching the show, I'm right there with everybody else. So I love the new stuff that's coming up. I'm really looking forward for the fans to see the encounter when eventually I meet Sam. So this is the best is yet to come. The series just gets better and better.
That's really great, and I have to say, Alex, that's probably the best evasive answer that I've ever gotten from a guest from any show.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, some people I've interviewed have made the evasiveness sound so awkward, and you just made it sound so natural. That was very
no
clever.
no comment.
Of all of the productions you have worked on in your career so far, and there have been very many of them, which would you say has been the most challenging role in your career so far, and why?
Well, I'm really loving what we're doing on Van Helsing, and that is quite challenging, and it's the longest I've ever been a part of a project like this with the emotionality. So this is right up there. But I did a film called Numb, where we were in the elements and in the winter, and we were freezing, and it was a film that I produced also. So it was also a low budget. So we didn't really, when the cameras were off, we really didn't have the key warm-up tents that we wanted, and we really wanted the authenticity of the cold. So, a few of the leads just decided to stay out of the warm-up tent, and I had to go backwards in a freezing stream about 5 times. It was a tough, hard shoot. And then I did a film called Personal Effects. David Hollander directed, and I played a guy that was mentally challenged, who was accused of killing Ashton Kutcher's character's twin sister, and I put on a good 60 pounds for that film to play the role, because I felt too strong the way I was, and I decided, for 3 months not to do a push-up, not to do a sit-up, eat everything in sight, wake up in the middle of the night to drink a muscle mass shaker, which was like 4,000 calories, and it didn't feel good. Like the most comfortable I was when I was actually shooting, but when the director yelled cut, it was just a miserable place for me to live, and being that heavy, and my emotions were all over the place, my joints hurt. But I don't know if I would do that exact thing the way I did it again, but it definitely helped me in my performance for the film, and it was very rewarding.
Yeah, it sure sounds it after putting in that much work for the film. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And finally, my final question for you, Alex. You obviously we've talked a lot about Van Helsing and War for the Planet of the Apes, but you've also got some very exciting projects coming up. You've also been recurring as Wygar Oak and Dirk Gently, as we mentioned earlier, but you've also got some very exciting projects. Siberia with Keanu Reeves is coming up, Hard Power with Liam Neeson, another feature, and also the indie feature Volition. I'm pronouncing that right, I hope.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, I'm not too sure about this one, but but yeah, okay. I feel very
Yeah.
relieved. So, what is it that excites you the most about these productions and for people to see them?
Well, like I produced a film called Puppet Killer that should be coming out within the year, and it's like a Christmas horror film, and it's something that I really enjoyed. That one, and there's another one that I did called Variant. So I've been really busy, and I love being busy. And a friend of mine was telling me, like, when do you get time to yourself? I'm like, I'm kind of lucky because my work is the time to myself. I love what I do so much, and I love the people that I work with so much that it doesn't feel like work to me. So all those projects are something that I really look forward to people seeing. The Keanu Reeves one was great because I had to actually learn Russian with the Siberian dialect. So we had a coach come in working on that. Keanu was just an amazing dude to work with. He was nothing but extremely generous with everyone, and everyone has the same stories about how great he is and down to earth he is, and I can happily say that they're all on point. He's an amazing man, and so yeah, all those films I'm really looking forward for people to see.
And as an Irishman myself, I do have to ask, what was it like working with Liam Neeson?
Oh, he's great. He's so solid. He's so approachable, but he has that taken. He's a big dude, like he can be intimidating if you let it happen because of how great of an actor he is. But he's a great dude. He's a very, very good man. Laura Dern, fantastic. Watching them work in the scene was really something, and I love being a part of that and being a peer with them. So yeah, it's definitely something that I'm gonna remember for a long time. He was great.
That's really great. Well, that's all of my questions for you today, Alex. It's been a pleasure talking to you on the podcast.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for having me. Those were great questions, and I love chatting with you, so thanks a lot.
You're very welcome, and thanks for the kind words. Hopefully we can talk again sometime.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to take that beginning clip and put it on my website or something because that was on point.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's the best compliment I've ever had on the intro.
So great. Well, thanks for having me, man. We'll talk soon.
You're very welcome, and we definitely will. I'll look forward to chatting to you again soon, and take care. Bye.
See ya.
Van Helsing airs Thursdays at 9/8 Central on Sci-Fi. Today's episode is titled Save Yourself. Make sure to check out our podcast links, check out our website.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP, check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast, check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/official-everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our Mixcloud profile, www.mixcloud.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the following email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our companion podcast, Everything Geek Comiccast, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekcomiccast. Make sure to check out the hosts' YouTube channels. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/separatist destroyers. Check out Aleks Paunovic on Twitter, twitter.com/alexpon. And check out channel 1138 where we broadcast live from, www.channel1138.com. Geeks out, everyone.
we had the script to go on, and the stories were really centered on was it 7 or 8 main characters. There's a lot of cast members in Stargate universe, so you never really expected that you were going to make a big splash.
We revisit the Cranes, and I don't want to give too much away actually, but it's that element. It's the first story arc that is, I think, the first 3 or 4 episodes that you'll see. We revisit him, and it's